Today I'm going to be talking about the coral reefs. The ocean is an amazing place filled with wildlife and amazing beauty. Within the ocean is a little place called the coral reefs. The coral reefs are abundant with wildlife, food for the economy, and beautiful resources. However, the unfortunate reality is that the coral reefs are under attack. According to Secor National's website, quote, over 50% of the world's coral reefs have died in the last 30 years, end quote. This cannot go unnoticed, and we must address the core of the problem. To address the core of the problem, we have to look at climate change. According to the Citizens for the Great Barrier Reef's website, quote, climate change is the Great Barrier Reef's biggest threat, causing rising sea temperatures, ocean acidification, and extreme weather events. Coral bleaching is literally the effect of climate change, end quote. Now that you understand the urgency of the situation, we have to understand the carbon footprint. The carbon footprint is super important when addressing a problem like climate change, as it's the individual effect of climate change. According to Leah Assemlash of CNN, quote, a carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse emissions that anything has produced. The gases in the atmosphere produce a greenhouse effect, causing global warming. So what this shows is that lowering your carbon footprint will help with the effects of climate change as it will reduce those greenhouse gases. This can help save the coral reefs. According to the Center for Biological Diversity's website, quote, when corals experience warmer water, they spill their zooxanthellae algae that they need to survive. This is coral bleaching, which is caused by the warmer waters because of climate change. This is how reducing our carbon footprint will directly help the coral reefs. Now, I'd like to show you how we could possibly do this, because it sounds great on paper, but how can we actually get this done? According to Livia Albeck-Ripka of the New York Times, quote, flying and driving less, eating less meat and wasting less, using less energy at home, and recycling are ways to reduce our carbon footprint, end quote. Doing this helps global warming. These individual examples are ways in our everyday lives of things we can change that are simple, that can help us reduce the impacts. Unfortunately, it's not a slow, gradual change because we need to do this quickly. According to the Nature Conservancy's website, quote, to avoid a 2 degrees Celsius rise in global temperature, we need to drop an average carbon footprint by 2 tons by the year 2050, end quote. This is important to note because if we cannot do this, we will have to deal with drastic climate changing events outside of just the coral reefs. But it's important to realize that the coral reefs are the primary source of what's being attacked by global warming. Now that we can see a world in which we have to do these things, we can visualize what it will look like, both if we don't do anything and if we do things. If we don't do anything, our future looks really bleak. I won't even go into the consequences of global warming outside of the coral reefs, but if we don't address these problems, even within the coral reefs, we can see a world without the coral reefs, which means that we won't have the beauty of the nature, which is my favorite part, but other things such as coastal economies and the vibrant wildlife and the circle of life within the ocean will be impacted heavily. However, if we do reverse the course, the ocean can either stay the same, which is beautiful the way it is, or it can even improve. Scientists all over the world are figuring out how we can get coral reefs to come back. This will help our coastal economies around the world in places like Central and South America that rely heavily on things like this. Let's improve our world. Taking action starts right now. And unfortunately, we don't have time to keep waiting. If you go to myclimate.org, you can start calculating your carbon footprint today. And after you start doing that, we need to focus on things such as using renewable energy sources, because that's the future. If you have the capacity to help, it can be rough, I understand, but if you have the capacity to help, please do it. Head to myclimate.org today and calculate your carbon footprint and figure out what you need to do to help the coral reefs, because the world, the ocean, the coral reefs, the fishes, and people around the world are relying on us to fix what we can to help save the coral reefs and the planet. Thank you.